everybody, and welcome to another edition of Just Fish Outdoors. I'm your host, Dale York, and on this week's show, we have a very, very interesting guest. A guy that's probably caught more fish than 3/4 of the population of the United States. His name is Steve Carroll, and he's a retired guy, Lowrance Pro Staff, and the list goes on. But I'll let him tell a little bit about himself and what he does, and we'll talk about some tips and tricks for catching all kinds of fish. Steve, come on in here and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, well, thanks for the kind words. Really excited about being here today and being able to finally get on this podcast and kind of been looking forward to it. Just briefly, I'd like to talk about my background for a few minutes, if that's good.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. Well, I've been fishing my whole life. My dad started me fishing when I was basically old enough to hold a fishing pole, and I used to. I remember growing up, I'd be back in the backyard practicing casting into a 3-pound coffee can, out in the backyard under the clothesline.
Oh yeah.
So I kind of been at it for a while. I'm in my 70s now, but I've fished pretty much all over the world. I was in the Navy, fished everywhere that I went while I was on board ship, and we just had the opportunity to, get around a whole lot. In fact, during my whole life. So I've basically spent a lifetime fishing. I just recently retired from the guide business. I was a full-time hybrid striped bass fishing guide from 2008 until 2021. And then a part-time guide before that, while I had a full-time job. I had a really flexible vacation scheduling system that let me, take off during the week and do a lot of fishing. So I started my guide business while I still had a full-time job. And another thing that happened in my early guide days, I was lucky enough to get on the Lowrance Pro Staff, and I've been on that pro staff. Oh gosh, I can't even remember how long. Probably over 20 years, and I'm still on there. Validation of new units. When Lowrance comes out with a new unit, I'm one of the guys that gets it and takes it out, bugs out of them. Yeah. So we really had an excellent relationship over there with the guys at Lowrance. But probably one of the things that set me apart from other fishing guides, especially around here, I was one of the very first hybrid guides that started guiding that use live bait. And I really feel like a lot of my clients fish with me because I go catching some shad to fish with. That was, that having live shad, especially in Oklahoma, pretty much guarantees that you're going to end up with a limit of fish or even more. We just caught a lot of fish because we're using fresh caught, really frisky live shad, and that's any fish's favorite food. You can talk. We caught crappie, we caught largemouth bass, we caught smallmouth bass, we caught blue cat, channel cat, and especially we were focused on hybrid striped bass, of course. But just, shad is good for anything.
Oh yeah.
And, if you put a live shad in front of just about any fish, he's going to eat it, and he's going to eat it right now.
Yeah.
So it's the shad. The shad is such an attractive bait that fish doesn't want to share it. He sees that crippled shad, and he's going to eat it right now. So it's a really exciting way to fish because the bites are so ferocious.
Yeah, you don't get a bite. You get assaulted if you've got a live shad on.
Yeah, there's no nibbling about it. I used to have first time clients get in the boat and they see the rod was fishing rod and a rod holder, and the tip of the rod's bouncing up and down a little bit, and right before the shad gets eaten, that bouncing around gets pretty vigorous.
Yeah, they get nervous.
And I would have to caution people all the time, saying, "Now that's not the bite. That's not the bite. The bite when the tip and three of the guides on the rod are in the water.
Right.
That's the bite. So, I mean, you don't, after that happens, of course, you don't have to mistake it anymore. But, people would figure out that when that shad gets really nervous, he's probably getting ready to get eaten.
Yeah.
He's not down there swimming around and getting nervous to make his nose feel better. No. He's got a hook in his nose, and he's just trying to get away.
Yeah.
He's trying to be somewhere else.
Yeah, he's got something with quarter-size eyeballs looking at him with a big grin on their face.
Yeah,
he gets pretty nervous.
So, fishing with live bait is really a specialty that I worked on for a long, long time. Of course, in Oklahoma, you can't buy shad. It's against the law. There's nobody in Oklahoma that's licensed to sell shad. So if you want to fish with live shad or even dead shad, you got to go catch them yourself. Yeah, now, you can buy frozen shad in Oklahoma.
Yeah, and they're so hard to keep alive. A lot of people don't realize just man, how fragile those fish really are when you go to try to catch them and contain them and capture them for a period of time.
Oh my, you hit it on the head right there. Catching live shad is kind of hard, but keeping them alive for more than 3 days is really hard.
Yeah.
And I was one of the first guides in Oklahoma to go out there and I wouldn't say perfect a way, but developed a way that I could keep shad in my garage and tanks. My goal was to catch 300 shad, bring them home, garage, and have them last for 3 days. I would take 100 baits with me each trip, or thereabouts. But I'd have 300 shad out there, so that meant every third trip I had to go catch more shad.
Yeah.
So I would, since I'm, fishing 7 days a week, every third day I have to go catch bait. So I would, have all my bait catching stuff in the truck, go up to Skycook Lake, fish with my clients that day, clean their fish, say bye to them, and then Keystone Lake or the Port of Catoosa depending on the time of year, to catch fish for the next 3 days.
Yeah.
And that put me home about 5 or 6 o'clock. 7:30 at night, and I'm getting up at 3:30 the next. It's a very glamorous job being a fishing guide. But
Yeah.
most people didn't realize that there's a considerable amount of work behind the scenes that they never see.
Yeah.
For me to be able to go take my next 3 clients out and have them catch them fish.
Yeah, having lived that life myself, as you know, I striper guided for many years, and man, I mean, you like you said, you get up 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning, and in my particular case, I wouldn't keep shad. I'd go catch shad every day, and boy, you guide all day. By the time you clean fish and get ready to go back to the house and to get to the house and repair everything that your clients broke during the day and get the boat all ready, it may be 11 or 12 o'clock at night, and you got to get up again the next morning at 4 o'clock. So
well, that's the next chapter of the story is just almost every guide I knew that was a one-man operation.
Yeah.
So you did the fishing, but you also fixed the boat, fixed the motor, fixed the tackle, catch the shad, fix the net that you tore up. It's just there's a never-ending list of stuff to do.
Yeah, for all you people out there that think fish guiding for a living is a very glamorous, fun job. You need to listen to what this young man is talking about, as well as me, because boy, it's great if you got the stamina and the energy and a real love for what you do. But let me tell you, folks, it's probably one of the longest, hardest days you'll ever put in is being a successful guide on the water during the season.
Yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. It's something that I love to do. I love to do it the first day I went, and I love to do it the last day I went.
Yeah,
I never did lose that drive and desire to go out there and perform at that level. I had people definitely that appreciated it. I had a list of clients that fish with me every year. I fished with them. Kids were 6 and 7 years old, and I fished with those kids, had kids of their own.
Right, right.
And they just, they keep coming back year after year because all they got to do is come and get in the boat and go fish.
Right, right.
And I really enjoyed having those long-time clients. I also enjoyed getting first-time clients.
Yeah.
And I had the ability and the wherewithal to make sure that with the first-time client, that I understood why we were out there.
Right.
There's, going out and catching as many fish as you can is only one reason to hire a guide.
Right.
A lot of the people that I fished with wanted to learn how I use GPS and sonar together to find fish.
Yeah.
And to find fish in the springtime is different from finding fish in the summertime on any lake.
Right. Right.
So, I had a lot of instructional type trips where, the guy's main desire was, how do you look at that lake map and know where to go to find fish in this one?
Yeah.
And that was the next reason probably is the client just bought a boat and he wants to learn how to fish on Keystone.
Right.
Or he wants to learn how to fish on Skytook. So I was never one of these guys that had secret spots.
Yeah.
I knew that I didn't own the lake, and I knew that anybody with any sense at all could figure out where we were.
Yeah.
And we talked about that.
Right. Right.
You're more than welcome to come and fish these spots, and more than one of us can fish any spot at the same time, as long as you come up there courteously.
Yes.
And don't don't run your outboard engine and sneak in there and get right beside me if you want to.
Yeah.
We'll work on the same school of fish.
Yeah.
So I was, a lot of guys are just anal about being secretive about their spots.
Yeah.
And where they fished.
Yeah.
Or how they fished. I was open to, any kind of discussion about where to or how to.
Yeah.
And I just, I felt like with my relationship that I had with the wildlife department, and the biologists that work at the wildlife department, that I was very invested in the next generation of anglers.
Right.
To be able to go out and enjoy the resources that the wildlife department provides outdoorsmen, fishing and hunting.
Right.
So I was very glad to introduce and probably my very favorite person to have on the boat is a 12-year-old girl.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
The screaming will commence.
Oh my gosh. And then that's chapter one. The thrill of catching that first fish and then continuing to catch fish all day long. But at the end of the day, here she comes when I've got these dead, chilled fish on the cleaning table, and she's back there going, "Ooh, what's that?" Ooh. And Mom is up there on the bow of the boat, just horrified. There are little girls back there pulling fish stomachs out, because I'd go, "Look at this," and we'd be. One of the things we did to attract fish was to chum.
Right.
Cut up little pieces of shad and drop down the water, and I'd be cleaning fish, and I could tell the fish's stomach was just full of chum, and I'd cut that open and squeeze that chum out on the table there. This young girl would just be intrigued and thrilled, and at that point that you'll be seeing her again.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, probably one we ought to highlight a little bit. There's a lot of single parents out there that may have a child that's wanting to fish or wanting to get into fishing, and perhaps the parent wasn't as fortunate as we were to grow up on the water. And if you'll do some research for that parent, if you go out there and do some research and find a local successful guide, for whatever area of the United States you live in, and you'll take that child out with that guide. Boy, you talk about flattening the learning curve and giving that child a wonderful experience. That I just can't think of anything better to help that child further that love of fishing than to take them out with a good guide.
Yes, yes. I mean, I would just be thrilled to another level.
Yeah.
When I knew I was going to have kids on the boat.
Oh yeah. It's a
and
wonderful thing.
And at that point, for me, that trip was all about having that kid have fun that day.
Yeah.
And have memories of that day, memories in his mind and photographic, a photographic record of the fish while they're fighting the fish, pictures taken right when we take the fish out of the water.
Right.
And, handing the fish to the kid and letting them hold it and get their picture taken. And, it's just sets that experience to another level. And I was just, at the end of the day, when I saw those kids walking back up to the parking lot from the boat, I just, I felt like most of the time that, I was able to show them a good time that day, entertain them, and let them have fun and learn stuff.
Yeah, and most of the time, it was a memory that they kept and never lost. I mean, it stayed with them the rest of their life. I know back when I was guiding, like you said, I'd take some youngins out with their parents on my boat, and they'd catch one or two stripers, and of course, just like you said, screaming at the top of their voice. And I'd run into those same people maybe 10 years down the road at some of the shows that we do, some of the tackle and boat shows that we both do. And that person would still remember me. They'd come up to me and say, hey, I went fishing with you when I was X number of years old, 10 or 12 years old, and I still remember that fishing trip. So it's quite a gratifying thing to, have someone that's grown and maybe they have their own kids now, to stand by and stop by and recount that experience with you that they had 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. And of course it makes us stop and think about how old we are now.
Yeah. Yeah. I was doing that math this morning before you called, thinking about that. And I still feel young, but when I walk by the mirror, I don't look the way I feel.
I took all the mirrors down in my house, so. I still feel really, really good, but boy, I tell you, when I get out there on that Ranger and start fishing about 4 or 5 hours later, I don't feel near as good as I did when I first started.
Yeah. But I don't. Like I was saying earlier, I retired last year, and it was getting to be where I just couldn't keep up with that.
Right.
I got sick back in 2018, and that really slowed me down quite a bit. And I was lucky enough to have a client that was wanting to become a fishing guide, and we got together and struck up a deal where I was able to sell that guide business to him, and he's being very successful with it.
Yeah,
So
I've fished with him a year or so ago. Me and another guy fished with him, and he's carrying on the tradition quite well.
he's a hard worker and a whale of a fisherman.
Yeah,
And, that he has that desire and drive to uh, uh, carry on doing that. And he is carrying on.
yeah. We may want to throw a plug his way. His name's Trent McBride, and I believe his service is called McBride Outside. Is that correct, Steve?
Yes. Yeah, you can search for McBride Outside on Facebook. If you're in the Tulsa area, he will take you fishing for just about any kind of fish you want to fish for, and any time of year you want to go. He's willing and able.
Yeah, he has awesome equipment. I know he purchased your boat that you had and your Suzuki that you had on that was fairly new, and he's got some good equipment, and he has a lot of out-of-state people come by and fish with him. So if you're coming to Northeast Oklahoma in the near future, or planning to, or just want to go fishing with him, contact him, because I'm sure he'll take care of you.
Well, I'd like to talk about one more thing.
Sure.
We're probably getting pretty near the end here. But Dale and I are both on the Lowrance Pro staff. When we met years ago, we've done radio shows and tackle shows and that kind of thing for several years now. But we have a couple of shows coming up in February this year. The shows are February 11 through 13 in El Reno, Oklahoma, and February 18 through 20 up in Grove, Oklahoma.
Yeah, those shows are put on by Montgomery Productions, and they are awesome shows. Steve and I will both be there with the Lowrance booth. We'll be doing seminars on Lowrance products and how to use them, and probably several other subjects. I don't know. So if you guys are in the area, are going to be in the area, stop by and see us. These are fantastic shows, and a lot of times you can buy some really great deals on tackle at these shows, and kind of get ready for that spring season. Steve and I both are usually there throughout the complete show. They usually start on Friday and run through Sunday. So, come on by and visit with us.
Yep, you can Google Montgomery Productions and see the details on the shows, but they have outfitters from everywhere. They have fishing guides. They have electronics guys like us. They have hunting guides. They have just about anything to do with the outdoors. There will be somebody there with a booth that would be more than glad to talk to you about that, whatever your interest is. It's a real good show.
Yeah, one of the great draws, or what I think one of the great draws is the lack or the preponderance of information at these shows. If you have a question about fishing tackle, fishing rods, fishing reels, fishing electronics, chances are you can come to one of these shows and ask some of these pros that question, and you're going to get some really good answers. Plus, some of the seminars that these pros put on are just information-packed seminars. I mean, you can glean a lot of information from these people just going to one place. I mean, if you want to learn about crappie fishing, if you want to learn about bass fishing, if you want to learn about this or that and the other, you can do it all in one place.
And there's Dale and I will be we do a seminar every day. There's a schedule of it. The seminars just run back to back to back. I mean, there's a seminar going on all day long during the whole show.
Yeah.
On some subject.
Right.
From, like Dale said, hunting and fishing and every style of fishing. There'll be a big bass tank there with live fish in it, and guys do seminars on that tank, and you can see it's like a huge aquarium, and you can see those lures in action and how the fish react to them. So it's a really fun way to spend the day. You know, if you're in the area over at El Reno or up at Grove, either show is it's back-to-back weekends in February this year. So we'd definitely like to invite anybody that's in the area to come and see that. Well, I really look forward to the shows every year. They're timed, you know, like this year in February, and it's just kind of like once those shows are over, it's the beginning of fishing season again.
Yeah.
So I'm always dialed into that. I'm ready to go right now.
So, folks, that'll just about add it up or end it up here for the show today. Once again, we've had Steve Carroll on today, who's just an awesome inspiration. Has a lot of knowledge. Just a wonderful guy. Steve, thank you very much for coming on the show today and talking fishing and some of your experiences. It's really been enlightening and also a lot of fun. I look forward to seeing you at the shows here before long. Any last words you'd like to say?
Well, I just, again, thanks for having me on. It's always fun to sit down and catch up and reminisce about the old days as far as I'm concerned. I'm still glad to be able to, you know, have those memories and keep them close. So really appreciate you having me on today, and looking forward to seeing you next month.
Yeah, me as well. And, you know, really every day we're above ground is an old day. So
it is.
But boy, I've enjoyed today. Like you said, I look forward to seeing you later on in February. Folks, as you know, anytime you have any questions, feel free to email me, justfishoutdoors@justfish.com. That's with the JST, folks. And as always, you know, we look forward to next week. We'll have another podcast coming up shortly. So, you know, feel free to check back with us as often as you want to. Check us out on Facebook as well, Just Fish Outdoors. And this is Dale York and Steve Carroll for Just Fish Outdoors saying, we'll catch you later.